Join me today as we remake the little toadstool house that came in those blind bags a few weeks ago. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. All right, so we are going, like I said in the intro, we are going to remake this little mushroom house that came in one of the blind bags. And I've redone plastic pieces before and had fairly good luck. This isn't the only way to do it. It's just the way that I have found works for me. And that being said, mine are usually put into a scene and then they're not handled much after that. If you're going to handle it more than I do, you might want to use more of a specialized paint that's made to go on plastic. I'm using the craft paints I have. So the first thing I want to do is take off the shiny. This is a very shiny piece. And if I had 220 sandpaper, I would use that. I don't. I'm going to start by using an emery board though. And this is just a Dollar Tree emery board. I want to get some of that shine off because that shine is going to make it really hard to get the paint to stick. Okay, got about all the spaces I can get with that. And I'm trying to not ruin the design too much, but I want to get the shine off of it. Trying to decide, well, okay, those are supposed to be little windows. That's what those are. I'm not thrilled with the little pieces on the roof, but I'm a little afraid of cutting myself trying to remove them, so I'm just going to work with them. And once I've got at least the shine knocked down, at least part way, okay, the base looks pretty good. I've still got quite a bit of shine up here. And I am trying to keep this under camera. I started to film this zoomed in more where you guys could see a little better, but the problem was keeping it under camera was pretty much impossible because this piece is relatively small. So it's, all right, let's see, am I happy with this? Okay. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I've got a craft stick. I am going to use this craft stick as a handle. I've got some blue tack. I keep this actually stuck on my tripod for my camera right on my work table. It makes it easy to find it when I need it. And I'm going to just stick him on. Now I don't have to worry about getting a hold of him. So now the next step is I want to take all the dust off that I just created by sanding, and I also want to take off any oils that have gotten onto it from my fingers or anyone else's fingers that have handled it in the past. And I have some 70% isopropyl alcohol. I actually prefer 90%, but I don't have any 90% on hand. So this is what I've got, so this is what I'm going to use. And I'm going to wipe the entire surface. I'm going to spend some time making sure I get all the crevices wiped down. And that's making it want to come off the moisture is making it want to come off the poster tack. I'll have to reapply my poster tack off camera and get this really stuck on. I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to gather some paint and I'll be right back. All right, the rubbing alcohol is dry. That just takes just a couple of minutes to do because it's designed to dry right away. Now I'm just getting a little container that I can put some white paint on to work from, just in case I pick up any dust or anything else that I don't want to contaminate my paint with. I've got this on here nice and firmly, and right now I am just going to coat the entire piece in white. And by the way, this is Apple Barrel in white. This is the paint. That paint anyway and this brush were both provided by Plaid for me to do videos for you guys with. I think I'm probably going to have to bust into my stash of paints that I've purchased for part of the colors I want, but we will see. Now I want thin coats. I'd rather do multiple thin coats than one big thick coat. And I'm going to paint everything with this white right now. Some parts I will leave white when I get done, and some parts I'm going to paint other colors. But the white will give me first off, it will give me a nice base to work from. It will make sure that my paints are true to color, because like this pink is pretty pigmented. It's going to try to show through. And it just gives me a good base to work with. I'm trying to not have shaky hands for you guys and still have this where you can see. And I'm not worried about painting the bottom. All right, I'm going to let this paint dry, and then I'll come back and I'll probably do a second coat off camera just so that I can get it a nice even white base. And when that's finished and dried, I'll come back and we can start adding the details. All right, 2 coats of white paint pretty much covered all the color except right there. So now I have pulled out of my paint stash a bottle of Anita's Charcoal Gray. This is one I purchased quite a while ago when I first moved here. And I am going to paint the roof. And I've got one of my brushes that Plaid sent me. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to, what I'm going to paint the spots on the roof. Because it does have little dots. And I'm going to keep this kind of neutral so it'll go with the house. But I'm just going to very carefully trying to stay off of the little walls on those, because let's see, this and this are dormers and this is a chimney. At least that's what it looks like to me. So I am going to work this paint in, and again I'm going to, oops, I got down on the white. Getting with a wet paper towel here in a second and wipe that off. I'm going to paint the rest of the roof. I'm going to give it a second coat off camera, and then when the roof is painted I'll come back and we'll look at the next step. Alright, I got as close up to the little dormers as I could and did a little touch up. So now I'm going to attempt to paint that little teeny tiny chimney with a paler gray. I'm hoping if I go with a gray that's just a little bit lighter, mistakes won't show as bad. Because let's face it, I am going to make a few mistakes. I'm going to find the smallest paintbrush I have in here. I've got, let's see, what is this gray? This gray is, it's one out of my own personal stash. It's Rainy Day Gray from Anita's. And let's get the chimney around here. And you just have to, now I have better luck. And I'm going to do the first part on camera, but I'm going to do the really tricky parts off camera, because what I do is I put my elbows close to my sides, I pull this up close to my chest, and I work very, very carefully. But I can kind of brace it over here too. And if you need to, you can always come back and touch up. I find that doing the really tiny touch-ups or really tiny painting, a lot of times the tip of a toothpick works better than trying to use a brush. I'm hoping I'm not getting my hair in the camera. I don't remember which video I was editing the other day. My hair was in it half the time. Yeah, I'm still under camera. Hey, I think I'm going to get it all done on camera. All right. I am going to do a second coat off camera, but right now I'm also going to find another very small brush, and I have some Admiral Blue. I love this dark blue. I've used it on several things for the dollhouse. It's a very pretty dark blue, and I'm just kind of trying to keep this house kind of neutral, kind of go with the coastal farmhouse type color scheme and theme that we already have going. I'm just kind of sliding that up. And I'm using the edge of the brush to just kind of wiggle up to where I want the paint to go. There. And that door is done. I think after, oops, no, I got one more spot. I've got a spot right there that I missed. I'm trying to be careful not to touch the chimney. There. Now I wonder if I use this toothpick. To kind of paint. There's a little doorstep here. You know, I've decided I am not going to paint the window areas a different color. I'm going to leave them the way they are. I'm going to do a little bit, I'm going to put a gloss Mod Podge on them. I am going to pick a color for the roof spots, and as soon as this is dry and I have a color picked, I'll come back and we'll put the little spots on the roof, and then when that's dry we'll be able to put a clear finish on. So I'll be back in a second. Alright, so I'm going to do one more step, and I've got this Ceramicoat Lost Lagoon that Plaid sent me, and I'm going to use the handle of a paintbrush and attempt to not get my hair in front of the camera. And everywhere there's one of those little dots that are carved into the roof, I'm going to put a spot. So I'm going to turn the camera off because I'm having trouble finding them with this where the camera can see it. When I get the dots all painted, I'll let this dry, and then we can, and I'll double check my paint, make sure everything's the way I want it, and if it is, I'll come back with some Mod Podge and we will put a clear coat on here. Alright, our paint is all dry now, so I have some matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to coat the entire house with the matte, and then I'm going to come back and add gloss to just where the windows are. Now you could make this more fantasy looking if you wanted to. You could choose any colors you want. I was in more of a mood to make it more just go with my farmhouse, my house, dollhouse exterior, so it kind of looked like it belonged. Because I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use this yet. And I'm using a matte finish because I want to get away from anything that looks plasticky. Alright, we're going to let that coat of Mod Podge dry, and when that dries I will be back and we are going to touch up the windows. Alright, the matte Mod Podge is dry, or pretty much dry now, so now I've got out some gloss Mod Podge and the smallest paintbrush I could find. Put a little bit of gloss Mod Podge right there. And everywhere there's a window. Now you could paint those windows with a blue, which I thought about, but I decided I didn't want to detract from the rest of the house. I'm just going to put a drop of Mod Podge into the recessed area. Let's see if I'm under camera. I was just reviewing footage and saw that I was totally off camera when I painted the doorstep. Sorry about that, guys. I know I've mentioned it before, but my work area when I'm working on these little tiny pieces is sometimes smaller than a business card. If you can imagine working in a space that small, it gets kind of difficult. All right, I'm going to let that gloss Mod Podge dry, and when it's dry, we'll pop this off the craft stick and we will see how it looks in front of the dollhouse. All right, I think the Mod Podge is pretty well dry, and it's a subtle difference. There's just a little bit of shine on those windows. We're going to pull this off, and sometimes it does stick because you get paint under there, but easy enough to get the blue tack off. When I'm not filming, I'll probably come back with a Q-tip and go ahead and get the rest of that cleaned off, but there we have our cute little toadstool house. Let me move the camera over to the front of the dollhouse and we'll set this over by the house and see how it looks. All right, for now I've just placed this on the porch of the dollhouse. I love how this came out. It complements the dollhouse really nicely, and it's certainly a big improvement, at least I think it is, from the way it came in the blind bag. If you enjoyed today's project, be sure and leave me a like down below the video and leave me a comment. If you enjoy my content and haven't subscribed, I encourage you hit the subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Be sure and check the blog post for more pictures, a list of the colors of paint used, and all that good stuff, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.